I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't think I can second that.
Okay,
Yeah, Dom, I think you will have
then
to.
I will. So the minutes are approved. And do we have any, well, obviously we don't have any citizens, or do we have anybody that's citizens petitions or comments?
I guess go in a couple of different places, maybe under the
Okay.
director's report, but I'm going to put it under citizens petitions and comments. I received a phone call from a resident. She abuts the Mortimer Wright property, which is open space parcel off of Groton Long Point Road. It's kind of just down the hill from the police station and the annex. And
What's it called?
Mortimer Wright, Mortimer, Wright, WRIGHT.
Okay.
And it's a large open space property. The town owns it, and there are trails in there. Interestingly enough, there's a landlocked 1 acre piece, right, not in the middle, but it is surrounded by town property. And the landowner's son has been using a four-wheeler to access that property. And he's been kind of tearing up the trail, and the trail is in a wet area, so it's sensitive. And she contacted both Deb Jones, who's the assistant planning director, and myself, because Deb works with the Wetlands Commission. And Deb and I went out and we looked at the damage to the trail. We did have the parcel marked again, just so that we knew exactly where the parcel was. And what I have done is contacted with the permission from the town manager, I've contacted the town's attorney, because what we're proposing to do is actually close the trail off, because the trail actually dead ends on a butter's piece of property. So it goes through this landlocked piece just on the edge, and then dead ends on an abutter's property. So we're looking to close that trail, but we have to check with the town's attorney to make sure that the owner of the landlocked piece doesn't have a right of way or an easement onto his property. And if he does, we need to figure out what exactly that is. Does it state that it has to be an 8-foot wide trail or whatever? And if he doesn't have access, our intent is to close off the trail. So the town's attorney is doing a deed research at this point, and hopefully by next month I'll be able to update you on what's happening there.
Is that a trail that people use for hiking, or is it simply?
No, people do use it for hiking, but there are other trails on the Mortimer Wright property that actually tie into other open space pieces.
It's really dry.
It just doesn't make sense to keep this one particular trail open, because there are alternatives that are in drier sections of the property and that also connect to other trails. So rather than having somebody go out on a dead end trail that, goes to somebody's property and then you have to turn around, we just feel like it makes sense to close it off.
I see.
Mark, wouldn't
Yes.
wouldn't that halt the crosstown trail?
No, actually it wouldn't. The Crosstown Trail does go through the Mortimer Wright property, but this particular trail is not part of the not part of that Crosstown Trail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you
if it was, we wouldn't be able to close it, because that's kind of a unique trail. So, but it's a couple of trails on the same property, but it's not the one that's part of the Crosstown Trail.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah. Yep.
Any
So
other comments? Any other comments or petitions from citizens?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, moving right along. Town council referrals.
None.
Okay, correspondence and communications. From the commissioners and talking to citizens. Okay, reports. You're on again, Mark.
Okay.
was quick.
So everybody got the April report, and I just wanted to update folks on a couple of things. Dom asked me earlier before the meeting started if we'd been doing some planning for pre-planning for reopening, and the answer is definitely yes. We've sat in on a number of Zoom meetings with DEEP, the Office of Early Child Care. They have been put in charge of regulating how camps are going to operate. Camps this year are going to be much different. I think the maximum size camp that we will be able to have at any one site is 30 kids.
Mhm.
Typically, we have 100 kids at each site.
Wow.
Yeah, and originally we believed we were going to be able to have groups of 10. Now it looks like the latest guidelines that have come out will restrict us to having groups of 5. So that's a pretty small group, and sharing resources. So in other words, kids are in a class. We won't be able to have all the kids together in the gym playing a giant game of XYZ. It's going to be a group of 5 goes in and does a particular activity. They leave. Another group of 5 goes in, they do an activity and then leave. So we're not going to be able to collectively have all 30 kids together. Kids are going to, before they even get out of the car, they're going to have their temperature scanned. And if it's above, 100.4, they're not
Yes.
even going to be able to they can't even get out of the car. They're going to have to stay in the car and go home. And so there's just all kinds of protocols that the Office of Early Child Care is, set up, and we're just trying to figure out how we're going to be able to meet all of those protocols. So that, camps in the summer are a big part of what we do. So they're going to look much different. We're not sure we're going to be able even to run specialty camps. Those are camps like we try to partner with a lot of the high school coaches, the high school basketball coach, the high school tennis coach, high school baseball coach, to run all of these sports camps. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do that with 5 kids. I mean, it's kind of hard to run a soccer camp with 5 kids. So that's proving to be a real challenge. One decision we have made is for the last probably 6 weeks, have been working on our summer brochure. It was ready to go to the printer, and we've decided we're actually not going to print our summer brochure because all of the information that we had originally put in it is changing. So it just doesn't make sense for us to spend thousands of dollars to print something that we're not going to be able to do. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to run any trips this year. So what we've decided is once we figure out exactly what we're going to be able to do to meet all the different protocol, we're going to create an electronic copy online. We do recognize the fact that not every household has access to the internet. So one of the things we are going to print a smaller version, probably just run it off on the copy machine and distribute it, have copies available at Human Services. There are about 600 families that go to the library every morning to get free meals. So we'll have copies of the abbreviated brochure there, and we'll probably also have some at the senior center because there are families that are picking up meals there.
Mhm.
So we're trying to account for everybody in the community We're going to have to really promote what, the fact that there isn't going to be a printed brochure, and just try to raise everybody's awareness of where they can get summer camp information. We did do a survey. One of the things we wanted to figure out is, if we do all this work, but none of the parents want to send their kids to camp, well, then there's no point in running a camp. But there is the feedback that we got. There is interest in seeing the camps run. And so we are going to move forward. And we think there's a strong need for the camps, because as parents go, as reopening start, parents go back to work, during the summertime, there's no school, so their kids have to be someplace. So, camps are really going to be essential this year. And unfortunately, we're likely not going to have enough facilities to accommodate all of the requests.
That was one of my questions, Mark, is how are you going to, presumably you're going to have more parents looking for spaces for their children than you will have spaces available. Are you coming up with some kind of decision tree for determining priority of applicants, or?
Yeah, we have given that some thought. What we're encouraging, I don't think we can say, because it's a public camp, we can't say, no, you can't come to camp. Trying to determine need is really tricky. For some parents, just because, kids have been in the home for the last 2.5 months, and quite honestly, parents need a break. Their kids need to get out. And so we didn't feel like we could say, no, we're going to exclude anyone that in a household where both parents aren't working. So in other words, if one parent's staying home, that would exclude you from participating in camp. We can't do that. But on our messaging, we have said, look, we're trying to meet the needs of those families that where both parents are working and they really don't have all their alternatives. So that's our primary focus. Will there be some people that only mom or dad is working and the other one is staying home, but the kids still need to get out and socialize. So we're hoping, I guess, for voluntary compliance, and we'll have to see how that works.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
It's going to be extremely hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard on everyone. It's going to be hard on the staff. It's already a challenge for the parents that have school children now. Fran and I were talking about that a little bit before. So that's going to be difficult.
I'm guessing all the staff are going to need special trainings too on the new protocols and procedures because of COVID. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that is true. There'll be additional training. The staff are going to have to wear masks, and yeah, it's going to be a much different camp than what it's been, than I think what we all kind of envision a summer camp being. Let's see. Oh, Fran, you'll be glad to hear about this. So the Wi-Fi in the Groton Community Center will probably be complete by next week. Yes. Unfortunately, the community center is not going to be opening for a while. We're not going to be.
That's okay. We'll take the small.
Yeah.
It'll be there when we come back again.
It will be. Yes. And the lighting project is complete. And what a difference that makes. I think I sent Dom a picture of the lighting in the gym, and there are absolutely no dark spots now. It looks
Great.
fantastic. And as you walk into a room, most of the rooms have sensors in them, motion sensors. So you walk into a room, they come on. If there's no activity, after a few minutes, they shut off. Same thing in the hallways. You walk down the hallway and the lights all come on. And I think I've mentioned this before, that the funding for this came from a grant. And we got Groton Utilities to pay for it. They wrote a check to the town, I think for like $54,000. And we're estimating that it's going to save about $16,000 a year in electricity. So that project wrapped up on Monday.
Great.
Yeah. While the skate park has been closed, we have been working with a contractor who has done work in the skate park previously. So while the skate park was closed, we figured this was a good time to get some work done. So they've been doing some seam and joint repair. And when the skate park opens, we will be, it will be a little bit smoother ride for those using the park. One other thing that I did want to mention was that we are, one of the things that we're trying to anticipate is how do you partially open a skate park? Or how do you partially open a beach? So one of the things that we are doing is we're trying to hire park ambassadors, and their job will be to make sure that those using various recreational facilities are following, staying 6 feet apart and following the other protocol. So our plan is to have somebody at the skate park, probably from 10 in the morning until 6 or 7 at night, monitoring that facility, closing the gate when whatever number we determine is the maximum capacity. Same thing down at the beach, with a lot of other beaches closing or limited access, we're anticipating that we're going to have more people at the beach. And so we feel like we need somebody down there to make sure that people are, again, following the proper protocol. And, if we did reach capacity, we could just close off the parking lot across the street so that it just let people know that the beach is closed. So we are we're looking to hire about 8 staff and have coverage 7 days a week. One of the other things that we're doing is we are working on getting 3 to 5 gallon spray containers. They're like backpack sprayers. We intend on using a mix of chlorine and water and spraying down the portalets in the different parks a few times a day, just to try to help keep them sanitized. We're not intending on opening the bathroom at Pequannock Plains Park. There's just too many touch points there. And, bringing in a cleaning company to clean that a few times a day would just be prohibitively expensive. So we're keeping we're going to actually put out an additional portalet at Pequannock Plains Park. So that's kind of our plan right now for
What about the
parks.
playground equipment?
Yeah.
What about the playground equipment? That's a touch point crazy test there.
We're waiting for what the governor rolls out. If he says that, we can open playgrounds, then we'll open them. We'll probably have to change the signage and just let people, that will be a personal decision if they want to put their kid on a playground. We have 19 playgrounds and we just don't have the staff or the time to go around and spray 19 playgrounds multiple times a day. I don't know that we could get through spraying all of them once in a day. So I think we'll just have to wait to see what the governor says. And that may be one of those things that playgrounds don't open until everything reopens, whenever, at 100% capacity, whenever that date is. So there's still some unknowns for us. And we're just going to have to wait. And once the governor rolls out that plan, which I think is on the 20th, so just a few days from now, we'll have maybe a week to try to finalize everything that's taking place and have things in order. So it's been an interesting, 2.5 months for us. It's easy to shut everything down reopening, I think, is almost trickier. Trying to figure out, what to do with something that's partially opened is tricky.
Mark, I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
One, going back to the camps that
Yeah.
you spoke about. You mentioned that you were going to put those flyers at the senior center and at the library where they have breakfasts.
Yeah, they have like 600 families drive up and pick up, I think it's breakfast and maybe lunch. There's about 600 families that stop in on a daily basis.
Right, but the schools also do grab and go at a variety of sites. And I
Oh,
was
they
wondering-
do? Okay.
Yeah,
And I was wondering if you
The
were planning,
library is one of those sites.
Yeah.
I think
I think
Colnasty,
there are 3 in Groton.
yeah,
Do you know
So
what
you
the
might
other
wanna-
two,
you might
yeah,
want to.
do you know what the other two are?
Actually, I can look it up real quick if you want.
Okay, yeah, that
I
would
have
be
an
great.
email about it. I'll let you know in a moment. Give me a sec.
Okay. Don, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, the other thing that I was going to mention is somehow get in touch with the district's technology person. I believe
Great idea.
that I believe they gave out tablets
Yeah,
to if not all of the middle school kids. And my guess is when I was in the district, there was a program where they could get internet for $12 a month. With
Yeah.
this situation, they might have done even better. So there might be a way to email some of the kids. I don't know what the percentage of them would be.
Yeah.
But I would just look into it. That's all.
yeah, those are two excellent suggestions. Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing is some great minds think alike. And as you know, when you're getting ready to open, one size doesn't fit all regarding the Groton Community Center. And one of our players is a general practitioner,
Uh-huh.
and we've been talking. Sherry, I don't know if you know it, taught public health at UConn.
Oh,
And we
okay.
have an epidemiologist, Paul, who I think you played with, and he was at the Navy, a researcher. And so having a couple of conversations, we talked about when you guys are ready to open, perhaps getting a small group and what your expectations are, and actually exemplifying what those expectations are to 10 or 12 people so that they could be your ambassadors
Oh,
at a variety of the different times when we play. So
okay.
all right, and I was hearing what you said, and then knowing what we were discussing, just great minds think alike. So
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
good thing.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right.
One
The
other
other
thing.
lunch,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead,
the
Fran.
lunch service sites are the library, West Side, and Mary Morrison. Those are the 3 for the public schools.
Okay. All right. West Side and Mary Morrison. Okay. All right. A couple of other things talking about the summer that I wanted to mention was we have canceled the 4th of July parade. Well, we've canceled the 4th of July parade the way we normally run it. What we are doing is, and I'm not sure if this announcement went out yet, but we're going to try to do a virtual 4th of July parade where families, organizations can put together a video and submit those to the town, and our video director who works at the library is going to take all those videos and compile them into one, and then we'll plan on playing that around the 4th. So, if a family decided they wanted to dress up and do some 4th of July activity, march around the yard with flags or do whatever, they could submit that, and then, like I said, we would put all of those clips together into a single video. So we'll see how that works. We're not just simply throwing our hands up and saying we're not going to do it. We're trying to find a different way to do some things. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing that we're doing is the Tour de Noank, which is a 5K road race, which normally takes place in early June. We're not running that in the traditional format. We're actually, there's an app called Strava, and bikers and runners use that. And so what we're going to do is set the race up on Strava. People can run the race and report their times. And as people report their times, it will show who ran it the fastest. And so people can log into Strava, click on the Tour de Noank, register their time, and they can see what other people's times are and things like that. We are going to get t-shirts, and we're partnering with, I can't think of the name of the running store in Old Mystic, Kelly's Pace. We're partnering with Kelly's Pace, which is a running store, and also Personal Advantage Fitness. They're partnering with us, and Kelly's Pace is open, and people can pick up their t-shirts there and enter and get the information to kind of participate in the race by themselves or with a friend or with a family. But the course, they'll be able to see what the course is online. And Strava is a pretty popular app that bikers use, and they use it to, they'll look to see what John Smith, how fast he rode a particular loop, and then a lot of people will try to ride a little bit faster than John Smith so that they have the fastest time for that particular loop. So it's we're giving that a try. Again, we're not just throwing our hands up and saying no, we're not going to do these things. We're trying to come up with what we think are creative alternatives. We'll see how creative they are, but they're alternatives.
Is there a way to?
What's that?
Are people going to be able to register for it online and stuff, or is it just in person at Kelly's Pace?
Yep.
Oh.
And are there parameters like you run the course over a period of between this date and that date?
Yeah, we would accept information up until a certain point, and then we would announce the age winner at the winner in a particular age group or whatever. So yes, there'll be limits to when people can enter the information.
Actually,
I wonder if it'd be possible. Go ahead, Don.
I meant to actually run it between August 10th and August 12th. You must run the course.
Yeah, I think we'll have dates set up when folks have to. We'll probably give them a 2-week period.
Okay.
Normally the race is held, I think, the first Saturday in June. So we may give them the first 2 weeks of June to do it, and then we will post the results.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So
I wonder if it's possible to mark the path somehow. Because that's
Oh.
I've run that, and it's like there's lots of go
Yeah,
down this
there's-
street, not that street, that kind of thing.
Yes,
So
that's actually, yeah, we might be able
otherwise,
to.
people are going to run it, and they're going to be off the track, and
Right.
know.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Let me make a note of that too. Maybe we could,
I don't know
Put-
if you could spray paint it pink or something.
yeah, paint little,
temporarily.
Oh, that'd go over
Little-
well.
paint little red lobsters on the ground, to get,
I like that.
Follow lobster trail.
yeah, because the T-shirt has a lobster on it, so, yeah, that's a good suggestion, Fran. Because you're right, there are a lot of little windy road, I mean, it looks like at some point you're running on somebody's driveway, but it's actually the road, so.
Yeah, super fun, but
Yeah.
I know I was glad to have people. There were people like waving where you should go,
Yeah, yeah,
and that was helpful.
yeah. And just to give you a little bit of information on the senior center, the generosity of the town and some of the seniors has just been amazing. In the monthly report, we have received $2,375 been donated towards free meals since the senior center started doing the grab and go. And that actually does not include, they received an $800 donation just the other day.
Mm.
So that's pretty amazing. We also, the other day, received the donation of, I think it's 10 tablets with internet capability that we are going to be able to share with seniors that need that social connection but just can't get out. And the senior center staff has done a wonderful job. They've set up a number of online programs or just opportunities for seniors to jump onto a Zoom meeting just to see somebody's face and
Mhm.
just to say hi. That's really important, and they're doing that. They're either doing that or they're making phone calls to seniors just to let them know that we're still thinking about them and hope that they're doing well. So the senior center has really done an amazing job.
I
in my
can second that.
opinion,
Oh, yeah.
in trying to keep, and trying to keep connected with all of the seniors. They've really done a wonderful job. So that's, I think that's about it for my report.
All right, we'll move to the golf course.
Okay. So we have installed touchless ball retrievers. It hooks to the flag stick, and there's a hook on it, and you lift it up, and this little disc that like pops up where the ball is resting, so you don't have to put your hand down. There isn't a common touch point when the ball drops into the hole. So there's kind of two benefits to this. One, it allows us to put the flag sticks back in the holes, and as a golfer, being able to see the flag, know where the flag is on the green. For those golfers that are really good, that's a benefit when they're driving towards the tee or the hole rather. And then the other benefit obviously is the one I already mentioned, the fact that they can retrieve their ball out of the hole without having to put their hand down into the hole to get the ball. They just use their putter or another club. They lift this hook up and it slides up the pole, and the base comes up and the ball comes out. So we installed those, I think last Friday. So and the golfers were very appreciative of that. I think this Friday you will start to see carts out on the course, single riders only. We have hired additional rangers. So right now we have one ranger working, and his job is to ride around the course to make sure that golfers are practicing social distancing. We're planning on bringing on an additional ranger. Their primary responsibility will be to clean the carts as they come in. So we'll still have one ranger out on the course, making sure that they're maintaining, so the golfers are maintaining social distancing. The other golfer, his primary responsibility will be to clean the carts before and after they come back. We've already purchased cleaning supplies, spray bottles, and we've come up with a system where, the carts that are going out, we know are clean. The ones we know that are coming in, we know they're dirty and they get cleaned. And that should start, I believe it's going to start this Friday, actually Friday's weather looks terrible. It probably will start Saturday, but we're slowly reintroducing carts into the course. And I just wanted to update you on the trees. As you recall, well, Elizabeth, you won't know this, but we had 21 trees along hole number 11 that we had a arborist come in, and they said that the trees, all 21 of the trees needed to come down. Staff took down, I think, like 14 of them themselves. The other 7, they didn't have the capability of doing. What we did do, though, to help bring the price down is we actually went in and limbed up as high as we could, and then had the tree company cut the trees just to a point where the staff felt they were comfortable doing it, and then the staff took care of the trees. So to remove the 7 trees, I think cost us $3,200, which is way below what I expected.
Yeah.
Normally you would pay $1,200 to $1,500 for just one tree. So we were able to save quite a bit of money doing that. And we've also worked with Public Works. They're coming in, they're grinding the stumps down, and they're also taking the large sections of trees out. So we did everything that we could to try to minimize the cost of taking down these trees. So it ended up costing us about $3,200, which wasn't bad for 21 trees.
Trees, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, did you have much feedback from neighbors or
Oh,
people?
yeah, we had plenty of feedback.
Has that settled down now?
It has, although I have to be honest, I expect that it's going to start to bubble up again. They're going to want to know when we're going to start replacing all those trees. We will start doing that. I can't say exactly when, but the plan is to start replacing those at some point. They have to understand, though, those trees were there for 60 years, and the trees that we're going to be replacing them with are not going to be, they're not going to provide the same shade and the same screening from errant golf balls that the older trees did. No. So yeah, right now things are quiet, but I do expect that they're going to start to bubble up again at some point.
Although it did come from the citizens that they wanted the trees down.
Yes, it was one of the neighbors that brought up the question, and there was other neighbors that were upset we were taking the trees down. And yeah, so we were in a difficult spot.
Yep.
What was wrong with the trees that they needed to come down? That was a piece that I missed.
They felt like, well, the one neighbor said that they were a hazard, that they were in poor health. And actually he was right, because we had an arborist come in, and the arborist said, look, all of these trees need to be gone before they start to leave out. So he was right. We had, as trees broke, we had been taking them down. I don't think we were aware that the trees were in as bad a shape as the arborist said they were. So, we weren't anticipating that he was going to say every single tree had to come down. But once he, did his assessment and put that in writing, our hands were really tied. We really didn't have the option to ignore the arborist's
Oh, no.
directive or recommendation that all the trees come down, because if we had and something had happened, you know, the liability on us would have been much higher.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, yep. So that's it for the golf course. Trails Coordinating Task Force, they meet quarterly and will meet in June. So there was no meeting since the last commission meeting. And I don't believe there has been any athletic field meetings prior to or since our last meeting. So the athletic field, Elizabeth, for your benefit, the athletic field, there's an athletic field task force. It's comprised of representatives from the high school, adult sports leagues, youth sports leagues. There's been an identified shortage of fields in the community since before I got here. And they're all meeting to try to come up with a plan to address that problem. The goal is to have a plan in place by next fall prior to the start of the next budget season. And they'll be able to present that information to the council, and hopefully we can start to address the shortage of fields that exist in Groton. Let's see, agency accreditation staff are still working on drafts. I have asked that as a draft of a particular policy, procedure, or plan is ready, that they send it to me, and it would show up in, I would send it to the commission for their review, just like tonight we'll be going over the recycling and zero waste plan, which is one of the standards that we have to meet for agency accreditation. So I would expect in future meetings that there will be other drafts of practices, policies, and procedures. The Pratt Recreation Building, received the second version of the I received the second version of the survey, and have a conference call with the company that's putting the survey together, just to follow up on a couple of things. Right now, it looks like the survey is going to go out sometime in the first couple of weeks of May. And that will be a mailing of about 3,000 that's going to go out. We need about 400 replies to make it a statistically valid survey.
So that's now pretty much, right? First couple weeks of May?
Oh, I'm sorry. First couple of weeks of June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yep. Yeah, first couple of weeks of June. So that will be in another few weeks that goes out. And that information is going to be used for two different things. One, it's going to be used to determine what recreational amenities folks would like in the Pratt Recreation Building. Elizabeth, the Pratt Recreation Building is part of the Mystic Education Center. And
I used to swim there.
oh, okay. Okay. So
Yep.
the developer has put forth a proposal that he is going to rehab that entire building and then turn it over to the Parks and Recreation Department for us to run. So we're trying to determine what it is that the community would like to have in that building. I'm assuming that most people in town are going to say yes, they'd like a pool. There's a gym there. I'm pretty sure that they're going to want to continue to have a gym there. There's a theater in there. We'll have to see if people want to keep the auditorium in there. And there's a couple of other multi-purpose rooms, and we're going to need to try to figure out what exactly it is that people want. And once we have that information, we've hired a architectural firm to come up with, I think, 3 different designs with different layouts and different amenities, and that will there'll be an opportunity for the public to provide feedback on one of those choices. The work is also going to include a feasibility study, so we need to figure out what it's going to cost to operate this on an annual basis, just so that the town going into this knows that it's going to, and I'm just making up numbers, it's going to generate $1.6 million in revenue annually, and it's going to cost 1.9 million to operate. So it could be $300,000 in additional money to run this building. That's one of the things we need to figure out. So there's kind of three parts to this. There's the needs assessment, the feasibility study, and needs assessment, feasibility study, and the engineering analysis yeah. So those are all the parts to it. Yeah. So that's it for reports.
Okay, unfinished business. All righty, we are to new business.
Yes. So that is,
Like election of officers.
yes. So with we need to, with Jim resigning, we need to come up with new officers. The officer positions are the chair, vice chair, and secretary. Those are the three. So I'm hoping that somebody is willing to step up to be the chair.
I'd be happy to.
I don't know. I'll volunteer for secretary. I take notes anyway.
Okay. That sounds.
That's what a secretary does, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You take the minutes, yes. Angela has been with us for a few months now. I guess she couldn't make tonight's meeting, but so there's 4 members, or no, 1, 2, 3. Yes, there's four members and 3 positions. So I don't know, Dom, I'm going to leave that up to you. I guess if you are offering to do it and somebody wants to nominate you and make a vote, we could go about that. And
I'll nominate Dom.
Okay.
And I'll second that nomination.
Okay.
And I bet Angela probably would like to be vice chair. I'm just guessing that
Okay.
she would be okay with that, but I can't speak for her unless
Okay.
Elizabeth wants to. I don't know. And
Oh, I'm
if
the new
anybody else
kid on
wants
the
secretary.
yeah. I'm the
Okay.
new kid on the block. I still have to learn some things.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'll write down that Dom was nominated for chair.
Angela vice chair and Francis for secretary. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for that. I appreciate that. It was pretty easy. You didn't want to give any speeches or anything like that to
Not at this time.
not at this time.
You're reserving the right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
I type.
Okay. Hold on a second.
There's my speech.
All right. So here's our distraction. Say hi to well, Fran, you can't see her, but this is
I'm
our
imagining there's a
distraction.
cute puppy on the screen.
Oh,
A
okay.
very cute one.
Yes, yeah. Oh, thank you for the
And a
kisses.
lover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Who knows where that mouth has been? Have to go wash my ear now. Anyways, yes. she's,
Meeting notes. Mark is kissed by dog.
And we have the time for that, 7:57.
Intermission.
Yes. Yeah. So her name is Kiwi, which is Gaelic for precious.
Ah,
So
Aw,
it's an
that's very
appropriate
nice.
name right now until she turns into a teenager, and then we'll start calling her something else. All right. Okay, so we're through the election of officers. Dom, you want to go ahead with the rest of the new
Sure, now
business?
we're gonna review the recycling and zero waste plan.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone had a chance to look through it. As I had mentioned in the email, this is one of the standards for accreditation. We had to come up with a plan. Elizabeth, just so that you know, the department's going for agency accreditation. There
Right.
are, oh, actually, we probably talked about this at one of the meetings you attended.
Yes.
So there's 100, I think there's 153 standards. Having a recycling and zero waste plan is one of the standards that we have to meet. So I put this together as a draft and just wanted to get any feedback from the commission on their thoughts. You know, other things that we could be doing or things that weren't clear or whatever.
I did notice under current recycling efforts, the
Yep.
first sentence where it says the department's recreation division at Spicer House and the senior center provides recycling bins.
Oh, yeah.
What I think you might want to add is that the department's recreation division office at the Spicer House Senior Center and the Groton Community Center.
Yeah.
Because I have noticed that there are receptacles and recycling containers there as well.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
Okay, another diversion.
Ah.
Down you go. Thank you.
All right. Was there anything else that people saw that think ought to be changed?
No, I actually thought it was very good.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So one of the things, when we started going through agency accreditation, one of the things that we brought somebody in to talk to the entire staff about the process. One of the things they recommended was that part of the whole process is there is a visiting team. Once we have submitted all this paperwork, they will actually send out a visiting team to the department that's going for accreditation and they come and they spend 4 days at the department, kind of going through everything, making sure that what they say they're doing, they're actually doing. I was on a visiting team. I was supposed to go down to Florida. I wasn't able to do that, but as part of the visiting team, I had an opportunity to go through all the documentation that they had put together for their accreditation. So I have been able to borrow a lot of policies, plans, and procedures that I think we can adapt to fit the situation in Groton. And I was able to take some of the work. Basically, it was kind of the outline that they had put together. And it was St. Petersburg, Florida, where I was supposed to travel to. So I kind of took their outline. I looked at a couple of others and pulled them all together. And this is the final product at this point. And we've actually already, one of our goals, I think, for next year was to look at starting a recycling food waste. And I've already been in touch with the Southeast Connecticut Community Gardeners Association and already started talking to the chef at the senior center. And we're going to, I think, sooner rather than later, set up a composting at the senior center for food waste. So we'll be able to start doing that. I think that was a goal for the end of next year. And it looks like we're going to be able to get that in place for this year too. So,
Mark,
yes.
Do you think you're going to need to add some kind of a footnote to this for practices during the COVID-19 pandemic? because a lot of plastics have been reintroduced with all the meal services. And I don't know whether that would show up in the, with the on-site visit. But it
Right.
might make sense to just address that as,
Yeah,
something that was necessary.
that's a good point. Now we will be submitting our paperwork probably next February, maybe March, and then we would expect the visiting team to probably come in May or June of next year.
Mhm.
I don't know that we'll still be, in this situation, but that's a good point to make, that if we are still serving, an extraordinary number of grab and go meals and using more plastic, then that's certainly a note that we should make.
Maybe broaden it and just have a paragraph that says during periods of community emergency, because it could happen during hurricane or,
Right.
there could be other emergencies.
Sure.
That the
Yep.
use of plastic may be required to meet safe food
Yeah.
handling.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Okay. Plastic use. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for those comments. Those were good. Anything
All right.
else?
No, look pretty good.
Okay.
Next meeting date?
June, I'm not sure.
Let me take a look.
Sometime in June. Let's see. Oops, calendar. It looks like it's gonna be June 10th.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'd like to call this meeting to adjourn the meeting, and it's 8:06.
I second.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Be safe, and we'll see you next month.
Sounds good. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Take
Elizabeth,
care.
nice meeting you.
Good meeting you.
It-
Good night.
Nice to meet you vocally. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, Fran.
All right. All right. Oops. And